We waited 12 years for a sequel to the massive success that was Tomodachi Life for the 3DS, and after a ton of hype, people generally seemed to like living the dream. It had its critics, but for the first couple weeks or so, people were having a ton of fun with its creative features and island building. But since then, a lot of public opinion has really soured on it after people really started to realize just how shallow the game is underneath that. I don't think it's fair to call this game universally hated, but I want to take a look at why so many people are now so low on this game after a really great start. Before I get into that, we have to travel back in time to 2014. The 3DS version of Tomodachi Life came out in 2014, and it wasn't some massive production. And even for a 3DS game, it looked incredibly simple, and half of its appeal was that your Mii could say almost anything in a robotic voice with nothing stopping it except some sensors. But it built a reputation that really never faded. People were still uploading content about a 2014 3DS game a decade later. Creators like Professor specifically were still pulling in tons of views from this after all that time. So every direct since the Switch came out in 2017, people were always asking about a sequel. So when that announcement finally came in 2025, people were ecstatic. Everyone had their own wish list for it after seeing the trailer, like having the concert hall back, Travelers back, and seeing what the new hardware could actually do. Well, we didn't get the concert hall or Travelers back, but for about 2 weeks, the new stuff was exciting enough that people barely thought about what wasn't there. Like for me, I made close to 40 Miis in the first few days. I laid out a residential district, a shop district, I put Miis I didn't like on their own island. The face paint tool gave creative people unlimited customability too. This isn't like a pattern selector like the old game had, you're painting directly onto the face with actual layered tools. So I'm not a good artist, but people who actually are good at art were making crazy Miis that look disturbingly close to real actors and cartoon characters, and using nothing but the brush here. They also gave Mii's ears, which sounds like nothing until you actually see it. The island customization is the same way. The 3DS island was fixed forever, it had the same layout on every single copy of the game that ever existed. Living the Dream throws that out completely. You terraform it, you place every building yourself, you paint and build your own exteriors. You can watch a Mii walk through a neighborhood and sit down on a bench that you place there. That's something that was never in the 3DS version. I also just want to say real quick, if you're enjoying this video, to subscribe because I'm going to have a lot more videos like this soon, and also I have a lot of other Tomodachi Life videos. Anyway, it's fair to say the launch was fantastic, and even pro sports teams were posting stuff with it. However, as time went on, things changed more and more. By month 2, the same comments started showing up under every video I made. People saying things like, I've seen everything, I don't have a reason to open it, there's no drama, and I talked a lot about these same issues. I actually went back after a break expecting the game to reward the return, but nothing meaningful had changed. There's only a handful of minigames total, like the Shadow Quiz, the Coin Flip, the No Repeats game, more or less, and you'll see every one of them within your first week. Outside of that, a Mii mostly just stands there doing a hiccup animation, or just asks to be given something, or wants a random object placed somewhere on the island. And to be fair, it's not like there's much more in the 3DS version, but I also feel like a lot of people were kind of expecting more given the long wait and the better hardware. Living the Dream is built as an open, go-anywhere sandbox, which sounds like it should mean more places, not fewer. But in practice, it means fewer named locations with anything specific attached to them. The concert hall is gone, the fountain isn't really its own location anymore, it's just the wishing fountain, which is just how you level up. The amusement park got reduced down to just the Ferris wheel. There is still a cafe here, and it still functions, but compared to the 3DS version where there was actual events there, it just feels like there's a lot less locations in this game. And yeah, you can technically make your own places, but building it yourself isn't the same thing. Like yeah, if you want you could build a baseball stadium or something, but it doesn't mean that the Miis are gonna play baseball there. Like all it is aesthetics. Like it'll look great and it could be cool to have on your island, but is that actually better than a location with its own unique events? There's also other issues here like the family system. You can now flag a Mii as another Mii sibling, parent, grandparent, right from creation, and it sounded like there were going to be real family dynamics here. Like maybe if there was 2 brothers that they would have specific dialogue or something. Instead, once those Miis actually meet on the island, they treat each other like total strangers. There's no unique dialogue for the fact that they're related. It just plays out the same as 2 random strangers meeting each other. Even when 2 Miis have a child together, there's almost no special interaction tied to that bond. The kid just grows into an adult instantly, and there's no toddler stage, nothing like the week you actually used to spend watching them grow, not really much unique dialogue. People, myself included at first, get one thing wrong when they list out all of this as individual complaints. They treat repetition itself as the root problem, like the interactions feeling similar, the dreams feeling similar, the same games being played, but I don't think that is the biggest issue. Tomodachi Life is gonna be repetitive. The 2014 version was repetitive too, and people still call it one of the best games on the entire system over a decade later. Think about why a game like Rocket League survives being repetitive for years. You're playing the same basic type of match over and over, and it works because there's something underneath it. You're ranking up and getting better, so it feels rewarding. Or in Minecraft, it still revolves around a lot of customization, but it's rewarding to do all of that and see your town or city grow with unlimited options. All this game really has is unlocking new items. Like, yeah, you can rank up, but all it does is give you one item each time. Is that really that rewarding and going to keep you playing for that long? And not to say the 3DS version was that in-depth, but it felt more rewarding. A couple you introduced getting married actually felt like it had built something. A kid grew up over the course of an actual week, and you'd watch it happen day by day, and then you could send out that kid when they're grown up to other people via Street Pass. They'd even send letters home. I thought that was an awesome feature. In fact, I would say that's the most rewarding part of the 3DS version, which living the dream cut down. You didn't always know exactly what you were building towards, but something was stacking over time. Your Miis just did things without you. You'd open the game on a random day and find that Miis wanted to be friends. It felt like there were just more fights too, like there was just more drama, which made it more interesting. Like, in a lot of ways, the 3DS version felt more independent of you. It's like you were checking in on it and helping them out rather than just operating the entire thing. Living the Dream hands you a lot more direct control instead. And a couple gets married here, but then it just feels like they're friends. Fights are rare, divorces are rare, and everyone tends to get along regardless of personality. You mostly have to formally introduce two Miis before anything starts between all of them. Like, you are just the matchmaker here, whether you feel like being one that day or not. I don't think this was an accident either. I think it's the same instinct that made the New Horizons villagers noticeably more agreeable than the ones in New Leaf. Nintendo, for whatever reason, is just softening friction as the audience widens, and it feels like there's just fewer scenarios where a kid on a shared family Switch watches two people, whether they're friends or made up people, just have fights. Like, it feels like there's not really many surprises here, and that kind of brings down the game a lot. And besides that, there was just a lot lost here too that can actually be measured. Judgment Bay is gone, and that was the event at the beach where you'd write 2 to 4 options in the sand with a stylus, and then your whole island would physically run to whichever one they picked. The compatibility tester is gone, the rankings are mostly gone, quirky questions is gone, Tomodachi quest is gone, and that was an entire separate mode where it was like a mini RPG adventure where your Miis fought a giant item. And then there's the Travelers through Street Pass. And I understand why it's not back. One being that the Switch doesn't have Street Pass. Two being that this game isn't censored. But I just thought it was such a cool feature that made the game feel connected. A married couple on your island would have a baby, the baby would grow up, and then once they're an adult, you can send them out into the world through Street Pass, and then they would go to a real person's island, and someone from their island would go to yours. Then they'd hang out for a while and then move on. That was something that kept me playing. When I would get a Street Pass, I'd want to see if someone came to my island. And I understand why it's not here, but it doesn't make the fact that it's not here hurt any less. And the improved Mii creator here is impressive and lets you do a lot with Miis, but it also removed the easy QR sharing that helped the old game spread. Because the face paint tool is freehand instead of a menu of preset parts, recreating someone else's Mii can take hours even with a full walkthrough. I understand the moderation problem, I really do, but you're telling me there's nothing they could do where you can't share with friends online? Where Nintendo can't manually approve some of them? Like, it just takes away so much from this game. Most people don't want to spend hours drawing on one Mii, and a lot of people just aren't good at it either, but still might want to have some Miis they think are cool on their island. I want to be fair to Living the Dream here though, because some of the raw numbers aren't close. The 3DS version had somewhere around 2,500 items total, and this one has over 9,000. There's also real systems here. There's the Warm Fuzzy systems that gives you something concrete every time you help a Mii out, which you could argue is the rewarding part of this game. There's shared housing here where up to 8 Miis can move together. There's catchphrases you could give here, but item count and system depth are two different measurements. Tomodachi Quest, the concert hall, the Street Pass port, those aren't necessarily measurable in terms of what's inside of it, but it just added so much to the game. Like I talked about before with this game not feeling that rewarding, like yeah, if you help them out or give them food, they'll level up, and that was in the original, but it just gets boring after a while. It doesn't really feel like you're building towards anything, and even though you can kind of say that for the 3DS version, I feel like this game really should have built on that instead of taking a step back. And with all that being said, you gotta remember, this is a $60 game, but for most people, it doesn't feel like a $60 game. It feels very light on content for what you're getting, and I think it's only fair to judge a game based on its price in some ways. Like, you could say a game is still good, but it's not worth the price, but I think that's still a totally fair criticism. There are some things that make me hopeful here, though. Animal Crossing New Horizons launched with nearly the identical issue. It was a massive jump in customization, it had terraforming, but the game just felt very hollow. There's no Brewster, no gyroids, fewer shops, and flatter villager personalities. And people were furious about it. And while this game still is far from perfect, a lot of it did get fixed through the 2.0 update. It added Brewster, the gyroid, several missing shops. There was the Happy Home Paradise DLC, but that update didn't land until more than a year and a half after launch. And while I think there's plenty of similarities to New Horizons, I don't know how much it compares. Sure, if you add some locations back like the concert hall or the compatibility tester, that'll make the game better. But it doesn't change the fact that the game really isn't building towards much. That the game is still fundamentally very light on content for a $60 game that's a sequel to a 2014 3DS game. I think this game needs a pretty big overhaul to really build on what it has. So all of this kind of explains the disappointment. It doesn't fully explain why the arguments about it turned hostile, and that's more about the audience, not the game. If what you loved about Tomodachi Life was the drawing, the face painting, building an island from nothing, Living the Dream is straightforwardly the best version of this series that's ever existed. And being told the game is hollow might sound insane to you, because for you, it isn't, because you're using these features so much. If what you loved was checking on a world that moved without you, watching Mies grow up on your island, having that social connection where Mies can come to your island and your Mies can go to their island, checking in at different times for different events, utilizing vastly different locations, you probably prefer the 3DS version. And I think that's the issue with the community here. I think a lot of people just put their own perspective as the only one. They don't understand why someone might love this game or why someone might be disappointed with it, and both of those views are entirely valid. There used to be a very big toxic positivity issue with this game, where people would shut down any criticism, where people would ignore flaws in the game, just to say things like, well, just be happy we got a sequel. But I think over time that started to shift. I think there's a lot of people that still like this game. So anyway, why is this game so hated by so many people, or at least now an afterthought for so many? And again, I think it's very similar to New Horizons. It was the long-awaited return to a beloved series, and it cut things people loved from the previous games, even though they were released on a far more powerful system 12 years later. They of course had more customization for your world, but it felt like a band-aid on the other features, just being much less in-depth. It's cool you can customize your island, make your own items, and realistic-looking Miis, but that novelty couldn't shield the other issues after a couple weeks. When you remove the concert hall, most events, the traveler system, babies actually growing up over a week, and more, especially when those things aren't specifically replaced, it makes a lot of sense why many people were disappointed initially with this game, or just lost interest over time. So I think it's a mix of that, I think it's a mix of the price tag, I think it's a mix of people having high expectations for this, but I think also one of the biggest things is just the highs of the beginning of the game just really falling off quickly. Like for myself, I loved this game for the first week or two. I was checking on it multiple times a day, but then after that, I kind of realized that there wasn't much underneath all of that, and it just felt like the customization was just trying to hide that, but it can only do that for so long. And I always get comments saying how I hate this game, how I'm being unfair to it, but I don't think that's true at all. I think it's a good game, but I think it is very flawed. I want to love it because I love the 3DS version so much, but it just feels shallow to play for an extended period of time, so I truly hope Nintendo improves it like they improved New Horizons. And something else I've been seeing is that a lot of people will point to the 3DS version and be like, look, this has the same issues, but you like that better, it must be nostalgia. And I think some of it is nostalgia, but I also think some of it is that felt like a new experience at the time, and now Living the Dream didn't meaningfully build off of that. It built off the customization, but not the core gameplay loop. But I guess it remains to be seen if this game will be improved, and if so, how much. But I want to know your thoughts on Tomodachi Life Living the Dream in the comments. I want to know why you specifically are disappointed with this game or like this game, because people are going to have vastly different perspectives, and I want to hear them. Now, if you enjoyed this and want to see more videos like this, if you want to see my other Tomodachi Life videos, be sure to